Chapter 13. Some Great American Cities. Some of America's greatest cities are on the Atlantic coast. Boston, in the Northeast, where the fight for independence began in the 18th century, is one of the oldest cities in the USA. Here you can walk the Freedom Trail and visit the place where the tea was thrown into the sea. A few kilometers away, in the city of Cambridge, is Harvard, the oldest university in the USA, which was opened in 1636. The famous Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, is in Cambridge, too. Perhaps the most famous family in 20th century Boston was the Kennedy family. Like many other Boston families, they came from Ireland. They became very rich, and John F. Kennedy, a Democrat, became President of the United States in 1961. At that time he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." He and his beautiful wife Jacqueline were young and popular, but sadly, in 1963, Kennedy was shot and killed in Dallas, Texas. New York is the biggest city in the USA. It is a great place for theater, shopping, and restaurants. It is also the home of the United Nations, whose offices are in a beautiful glass skyscraper. But people remember two even taller skyscrapers, those of the World Trade Center, because on the 11th of September 2001, two planes flew into them and killed nearly 3,000 people. The Empire State Building is now the most famous skyscraper in the city once again. It is 443 meters high, has 102 floors, and has appeared in King Kong and many other films. The Statue of Liberty is another favorite place for tourists. It is 93 meters tall, and the best way to see it is by boat. It was a present from the people of France for the 100th birthday of the USA in 1876. Many visitors to New York go there just to shop. The biggest shops, selling all kinds of things, are Macy's and Bloomingdale's. Tiffany's on Fifth Avenue sells beautiful jewelry, but it is very expensive. Times Square and Broadway are the center of the theater area, and Greenwich Village has been the home of artists and musicians since the 1940s. There are many museums in New York, and the biggest is the wonderful Metropolitan Museum of Art. Or, if you get tired of the city, you can go into Central Park, a big area of green in the middle of the busy streets of Manhattan. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the USA. It was built in a special area, the District of Columbia, D.C., on land that came from the states of Maryland and Virginia. It is different from most American cities because it has no skyscrapers. Its highest building is the Capitol, home of the Senate and House of Representatives. You can visit the White House, where the President lives, as well as museums of history, art, and air travel. Some of the city's most beautiful houses are in the old area of Georgetown. Much further south are the old cities of Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina, where there are also many beautiful old houses. They look the same as they did 150 years ago or more. But not all southern cities are old. Atlanta, in Georgia, is big and modern, with one of the busiest airports in the world. There are plenty of jobs, and people think that it is a comfortable city to live in. Away from the coast, in the state of Illinois, Chicago is sometimes called the Windy City because of the cold winds that blow in from Lake Michigan. The first really tall buildings were built in Chicago after the Great Fire of 1871. Today, the Sears Tower in Chicago, more than 500 meters high, is the tallest building in the USA. Frank Lloyd Wright, 1867 to 1959, who made beautiful houses and other buildings, worked in Chicago, and you can see examples of his houses there. Like any big city, Chicago has factories, shops, museums, and restaurants. But only Chicago has Wrigley Field, the famous baseball field. On the West Coast, Seattle has become one of the most popular cities in America since the 1980s. In 1985, Starbucks started the fashion for Italian coffee shops here. In the 1990s, it was the home of new music from bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Bill Gates of Microsoft, one of the richest men in the world, was born in Seattle. Films and TV programs are made about people who live in Seattle. A city that was once quiet has become crowded and more expensive. Las Vegas, in the hot, dry state of Nevada, is full of casinos. People win and lose thousands of dollars there, playing cards or other games.